What's up guys, JV2017 here, and today I will share everything you need to know about ISIC. This character guide includes detailed explanations, opinions, and recommendations on his weapon, abilities, playstyle and positioning, Helix build, and my final thoughts on the hero. If you're looking for a specific section of this guide, timestamps for each part can be found in the description below. ISIC is an absolute powerhouse DPS that can wreak havoc on nearly any map and in any game mode. Armed with his deadly charge cannon and spouting out non-stop insults, ISIC is a fairly mobile, fairly large hero. While he was even more of a force to be reckoned with before his nerf, ISIC still competes with the most powerful Battleborn in the game. ISIC can absorb a fair amount of damage in a tank role, but he's most powerful and most well utilized as a range DPS. ISIC is known as a tank because he can shield himself with one of his active abilities, throw up a secondary shield with a secondary fire, and also has a range of Helix upgrades that increase his survivability. Shortly after launch, however, ISIC received a pretty significant nerf that reduced his health by 20%. His shield ability strength was also reduced by 50%, effectively nerfing his overall sustainability. For those reasons, I don't believe ISIC should be listed as a tank any longer. He can stay alive for a long time with a healer and his secondary fire shield, but he just doesn't fit the role nearly as well as he could before. ISIC is a disruptor, able to frustrate enemies with several ways to slow down his targets and an optional stun mutation. For the most part, he's disruptive due to the massive amount of damage he can do from long range. The game lists ISIC as a complex hero. Honestly, I would list ISIC as an advanced hero simply because more often than not, you run into ISICs that have no idea what they're doing. His charge cannon main weapon has a certain kind of rhythm of firing that isn't immediately obvious and needs to be practiced. It takes many games to understand and many more to master. He's also one of the largest heroes in the game, so positioning is a constant consideration. Following ISIC's post-launch nerf, it became much more clear that ISIC's potential as a ranged DPS cannot be ignored. With his sustainability not where it used to be, all efforts should be made to maximize his ridiculous damage output. With good practice and discipline, ISIC can compete with the likes of Oscar Mike and other ranged DPS powerhouse heroes if played correctly. ISIC's main weapon is his charge cannon. ISIC's charge cannon fires rapidly while charging. Once fully charged, a powerful blast may be released to deal greater damage to multiple targets. The charge cannon is one of those weapons that has more to it than meets the eye. As the weapon is fired, it feels a charge meter in the bottom right corner next to ISIC's ability set. But instead of just holding down the primary fire button to shoot, the trick is to hold for 2 to 3 seconds and then release to fire an overcharge blast, and then hold again and repeat. A spinning blue triangle on ISIC's reticle will appear along with an audio cue to let you know when it's time to release. This process of firing his charge cannon and releasing immediately once it's overcharged is the key to maximizing his damage. The Overcharge blast delivers a huge amount of splash damage on impact and is great. It's incredible for clearing minions. Some additional things to keep in mind: ISIC's charge cannon never needs to reload and really has no limitations, so don't hesitate to keep on firing at all times. Charging does reduce movement speed, but luckily a Helix upgrade removes that limitation entirely. Overall, ISIC's charge cannon is an absolute force to be reckoned with. It can clear minions in a matter of seconds and burst down unsuspecting enemies when used properly. It's good practice to always keep it charged if there's a possibility of any enemy engagement. ISIC's passive ability is Overcharge. Activating a skill while ISIC's charge cannon is fully charged empowers that skill with additional overcharged effects and consumes the charge. Overcharge provides a way to buff active abilities using the charge cannon. Whenever you need to use an ability, such as rotating wards or Omega Strike, the trick is to overcharge his cannon and then activate that ability while still holding the primary fire button down. This will consume the charge and apply an additional bonus effect to the active ability. 9 times out of 10, this is absolutely worth the 2 to 3 seconds it takes to overcharge ISIC's cannon. Several Helix upgrades are dedicated to amplifying the bonus effects and are a complete waste if the ability is not activated while overcharged. Generally speaking, the bonus effects to rotating wards and Omega Strike are too good to pass up, but Plasma Dash doesn't really need it. Overcharging before using an ability is absolutely essential to success with ISIC. ISIC's talent is Energy Aegis. ISIC raises his Energy Aegis to block up to 2,000 incoming damage. ISIC's secondary fire button raises a shield that can save his life in certain situations. The Aegis shield strength can be found in the bottom left corner near his health and regular shields. Since ISIC isn't the tank he used to be after the nerf, it just doesn't make sense to waste time absorbing damage when you could be dealing ridiculous damage to your enemies. In a more aggressive push, Energy Aegis can be used to distract enemies and absorb damage while ally DPS deal the damage, but that's about the only situation in which it should be used. ISIC's first active ability is Rotating Wards. Raise 5 protective wards that orbit ISIC for 8 seconds, each blocking up to 113 damage from enemy fire. When overcharged, each ward blocks up to 131 damage. Rotating wards allow ISIC to stay alive with such a large body. For the most part, this is a defensive ability, but the wards also allow him to be a bit more aggressive and push enemies back while absorbing damage. Unfortunately, the ward's block strength was reduced by 50% shortly after launch, which makes these a lot less formidable than they were before. This is yet another reason ISIC's ability to tank is virtually gone. Several Helix upgrades, especially in the early game, are dedicated to amplifying rotating wards. Just remember to always overcharge his cannon before activating to take advantage of the bonus effects. ISIC's second active ability is Plasma Dash. ISIC charges to a target location while engulfed in plasma, dealing 134 damage to enemies along the way. When overcharged, deal 155 damage to hit enemies. For more aggressive players, Plasma Dash is an absolute lifesaver. The charge covers a fair distance and can get ISIC out of the most sticky situations. He even phases straight through all enemies he encounters, that's Battleborn and NPCs, so you don't have to worry about getting stuck on anything except for the map itself. A couple Helix upgrades add more utility to the dash, especially at level 4 with a stun. This transforms the dash into a useful CC that can help the team take down tougher Battleborn. As mentioned before, Overcharge doesn't really provide that much of a boost to necessitate a full charge activation. Instead of worrying about overcharging, it's best to go ahead and dash as quickly as possible when using this as an escape. ISIC's ultimate ability is Omega Strike. Toggle turret mode, replacing basic attacks with weapons that deal 42 and 167 damage per shot. When overcharged, gain 562 overshields on activation. ISIC's Omega Strike is the holy grail of ultimate abilities. This has the power to lock down entire lanes, burn down mid-thralls, obliterate waves of minions, and take down enemy sentries quicker than any other Battleborn. The best part is that it has no time limit, 0, and ISIC can stay in this mode forever as long as he's able to, and the only sacrifice is his mobility, so he can barely move while in Omega Strike, but it's the price you pay for an insane amount of damage. In Omega Strike, ISIC has a slow-firing turret as his primary fire and a quick-firing machine gun as his secondary fire. In order to maximize that damage, hold both firing buttons at the same time to fire both weapons at the same time. Omega Strike together is just a ridiculous ultimate that catapults ISIC into the top tier of Battleborn, especially in Incursion since he can take down those sentries so quickly. Unless the goal is to tank with ISIC, he should always be positioned with the ranged DPS Battleborn. His rotating wards offer a bit of forgiveness with positioning, while Plasma Dash gives a quick getaway, but ideally, ISIC shouldn't be anywhere close to enemy Battleborn, especially melee heroes. He really doesn't trade well. He's also the second biggest character in the game next to Montana, and it's really easy to spot him for ranged enemies. Even with the wards, snipers can lock him up and take him down very quickly if not careful, so sitting near a solid piece of cover is always a good idea. In my experience, the best way to play ISIC is to chain overcharge blasts and kill minions to rank up very quickly in the early game. During the mid game, the rotating wards related Helix upgrades and Plasma Dash stun allow him to be a little more aggressive and push up even further. Into the late game, and really once ISIC unlocks Omega Strike at level 5, he becomes much more powerful and dangerous. It's tempting to push up and be even more aggressive than before, but it's far more useful to utilize this ultimate to clear minions and grab mid-thralls and make a legitimate push. And of course, to sneak around and take down sentries while the rest of the action goes on in the mid lanes. In terms of gear for ranged DPS, ISIC should focus on attack damage and attack speed. An additional health regeneration item can also help his survivability, but make sure not to use any reload or recoil pieces because his charge cannon just doesn't reload and doesn't have any recoil, so it'd be useless. His legendary gear, Defensive Reasoner, provides maximum shield strength and shield recharge delay. The ISIC only buff reduces rotating wards cooldown by 6 seconds when the energy Aegis breaks. Ideally, this is a great tank piece, but once again, I don't feel that ISIC can tank nearly as well as he could before. This just adds extra survivability and definitely isn't necessary if the goal is to maximize DPS. ISIC's Helix build offers 2 main paths. I'll Never Die on the left side includes tank and survivability Helix upgrades, while But You Sure Will on the right focuses on maximizing DPS. Additionally, both sides augment ISIC's active abilities. The following are explanations of each Helix upgrade choice along with my recommendations based on role and playstyle. Level 1 left option, Watchful Wards, has each rotating ward reducing ISIC's shield recharge delay by up to 1.5 seconds. Level 1 right option, Crushing Those Shields, adds 60% of plasma dash damage penetrating through enemy shields. Watchful Wards is definitely the best option since Crushing Those Shields assumes plasma dash will be used offensively most of the time. While it can be, it usually doesn't make sense until the Hold It Right There upgrade at level 4, which stuns enemies. So Watchful Wards is a helpful sustainability upgrade at the start of each game. Level 1 mutation option, Whoopsie-Daisy, has rotating wards dropping in place when activated rather than following ISIC around. This mutation, unlocked at character rank 7, just isn't worth it, plain and simple. The beauty of rotating wards is that they follow around ISIC and shield him from enemy fire. This mutation is only helpful for very specific situations, so it's best to stick with Watchful Wards. Level 2 left option, You Drop These, forces rotating wards to reflect enemy fire. Level 2 right option, This Might Sting, forces rotating wards to condense into plasma charges that deal 134 damage per charge on contact instead of blocking inbound damage, all when overcharged. You Drop These is an essential upgrade for ISIC. The ability to reflect damage with his wards often kills lower health enemies like Arendi or Wrath with no effort, so this is a clear choice. This Might Sting removes the ward's ability to block damage completely, which just ruins the ability. Level 3 left option, Not Dying Today, increases maximum shield strength by 240. Level 3 right option, Charging on the Go, completely removes the movement speed penalty from using Charge Cannon. While Not Dying Today provides extra sustainability, Charging on the Go is too good to pass up. Most of the time, ISIC should be constantly firing and preparing an overcharge blast. Eliminating the movement penalty here is a no-brainer. Level 3 mutation option, Shield Down Charge Up, instantly overcharges ISIC every time his energy Aegis breaks. This mutation, unlocked at character rank 12, is not really worth it no matter what role ISIC plans to fill. Overcharging is effortless, so it's best to stick with Charging on the Go. Level 4 left option, Hold It Right There, stuns enemies for 2 seconds when hit with Plasma Dash. Level 4 right option, Line Up Fellas, has each enemy hit with Plasma Dash increasing damage dealt by 5 to subsequent enemies. Any additional damage is reset with each use of this ability. Hold It Right There unlocks Isic's CC stun potential with Plasma Dash. It works very similarly to Kelvin's Sublimate ability, as it can stun as many enemies as you can pass through, but just in a straight line. I can't tell you how many times I've been able to stun a low health enemy right before they can escape and take down some really powerful Battleborn like Galilea. This utility makes Hold It Right There the clear choice. Level 5 left option, I'm Concentrating, adds 105 extra shield regeneration while Isic's Charge Cannon is overcharged. Level 5 right option, In a Big Rush, increases movement speed while overcharged by 50%. I'm Concentrating provides some solid sustainability, while In a Big Rush adds a speed boost that is quite helpful in certain situations. Most of the time I've taken In a Big Rush because I found it more useful, but the ability of I'm Concentrating to recharge his shields is great too. Level 5 mutation option, Stopping Power, slows enemies hit directly by overcharged shots by 2 seconds. This mutation, unlocked at character rank 3, is without a doubt the best option once you unlock it. Once you can get the hang of his charge cannon, it's very easy to hit enemies directly with overcharged blasts, and at that point, enemies have a really hard time escaping while being slowed every few seconds, so Stopping Power is a must-have. Level 6 left option, Burlier Wards, increases rotating wards block strength by 113. Level 6 right option, Let's Hug It Out, reduces Plasma Dash cooldown time by 20%. Before Isic's nerf, Let's Hug It Out was definitely the better option since rotating wards were still so powerful, but afterwards, Burlier Wards doubles the current strength of each ward, bringing it closer to the pre-nerf levels. Plasma Dash just isn't much of a priority with the right positioning, so Burlier Wards makes the most sense here. Level 7 left option, Bring It On, doubles the amount of damage Isic's energy Aegis can block before breaking. Level 7 right option, Quick Charge, decreases the amount of time required to charge up Isic's charge cannon by 25%. Quick Charge allows ISIC to unleash even more overcharge blasts quicker than before, which is vital for his DPS role. However, Bring It On provides an ungodly amount of shielding from energy Aegis. And I know I said not to use it, but if you have to tank with ISIC and that's your role, this upgrade is pretty incredible. It's potent, it's powerful, it's amazing. Level 7 mutation option, I'm Helping, increases charge cannon's damage by 18%. This mutation, unlocked at character rank 5, seems like a great choice, but this only affects the weaker charge shots before the overcharge blast and not the actual overcharge blast itself. So this tiny buff is definitely not worth it when compared to Quick Charge. Level 8 left option, Hardworking Wards, increases the maximum lifetime of rotating wards by 6 seconds, while level 8 right option, Waste Not, Want Not, has the skills cooldown reduced by 50% for each ward still active once rotating wards expires. Before the nerf, hardworking wards made more sense since the wards were just more powerful overall, but afterwards, Waste Not Want Not will allow you to pop those rotating wards more often since they'll be going down more often. Choose Waste Not Want Not here. Level 9 left option, Can't Run From Me, increases plasma dash speed and maximum range by 50%. Level 9 right option, Dodge This, increases the size of the area damaged by plasma dash by 50%. The level 9 choice here is really a toss-up. I find Dodge This to be more practical when matched against larger, slower enemies, while Can't Run From Me is more effective against smaller and quicker Battleborn. Make this choice based on enemy team composition. Level 10 left option, Shields Up, forces Omega Strike to deploy Energy Aegis to block 2,000 inbound damage from the front. Should Energy Aegis go down, it will automatically redeploy after 6 seconds. Level 10 right option, It's Raining Death, forces Omega Strike to launch a barrage of 2 missiles, dealing 67 damage each every time you hit an enemy directly with the main cannon in Omega Strike. Both options are truly incredible here, but serve different purposes. Shields Up is more defensive and can make it nearly impossible for the enemy team to take down ISIC or get him out of Omega Strike. Its Raining Death just piles onto the ridiculous damage output of Omega Strike and should definitely be taken if there's already another tank hero on the team. Level 10 mutation option, Slow Down Fella, forces enemies hit by the rapid fire guns with Omega Strike to be slowed for 3 seconds every single time you hit them. And considering the rapid fire guns can be fired infinitely, this is an equally ridiculous mutation compared to the other options at this level. And honestly, all 3 options are very helpful and worth trying out, but I personally always stick to It's Raining Death. So what's the verdict? Is ISIC any good? Absolutely. He ranks among the top 5 Battleborn in the game, especially when it comes to dealing damage. Even after the nerf, ISIC dominates enemy teams with his splash damage and ability to nuke down anything with Omega Strike. Honestly, it's hard to find anything to complain about with ISIC except for his large size and current misclassification as a tank. Out of the few heroes in the game that can tank, ISIC now has the shortest survivability and sustainability. He can certainly be built to absorb damage effectively, but it's just not worth it when he can potentially deal the most damage in the game. In my experience, I've been able to hit a consistent 150 to 250,000 damage in a full incursion match. That kind of damage potential just cannot be passed up. In conclusion, ISIC is pretty much the best in the business at dealing damage. At best, he excels at burning through minions, thralls, and sentries while also obliterating enemy Battleborn. At worst, he's a large target and a lackluster tank. I hope you found my character guide for ISIC helpful. If you enjoyed the video, remember to hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. Stay tuned for next week's hero guide on Ambra. Talk to you guys next time. Peace.